just food. What first city? Just first city.
All right, 2019 Denver Fed Center men's Cat 4-5 criterium race. Right off the bat, watching this first 30 seconds, my heart rate goes from 120 or something at the start line to 148 before we ever make it to the first corner. So there is, I believe, 74 starters in this field. It's a combined field of fours, fives, and a couple of youth categories as well. You might see some of the smaller little young riders in here. I've only got about less than 10 minutes worth of footage because my camera was not charged, so you will not see most of this race. You will not see the finish, but I still felt it was interesting to put out a couple of laps here on the video. Just watching the power numbers on this course is interesting. Looking at my data, you know, I spiked over 1,000 watts 7 separate times in this 40-minute race. Went over 750 watts countless times. But I still, you know, overall averaged in the low 200 watt range. A lot of coasting. This is the corner of death, I think it's termed on the Strava segment. It's really not a bad corner when there's only a few riders or if you're solo, but everyone seems to want to take a different line on that. In this race, I think they were using a bit more brake going into that corner than was really necessary, but someone still did end up going into the hay bales toward the end of the race, so there is that. So yeah, I'm sitting in the low 150 heart rate range. This first couple of laps were actually some of the hardest. Typical crit racing, I suppose. First couple laps, last couple laps, everything in the middle is a little bit easier typically. Compared to last Sunday's race, this course felt extremely short. The laps were just clicking by super fast, but I was not feeling great for today's race. At least my legs weren't. Not sure what was going on there. I seemed to have a lot of inflammation this week. Was retaining a few extra pounds of water. Not sure if it was something in my diet or what was going on, but at this point in the race, I actually wasn't thinking I was going to make it the whole time. I was actually contemplating where would be a safe, convenient place to duck out of the race, because my legs felt like trash, and if the pace was keeping up anywhere close to this, I just didn't feel like I was going to be able to handle it. But at 2 to go, I was still hanging in there and actually went off the front through this section with 2 to go, and finished closer to the front than the middle, so I was fine. I just basically just had to get warmed up, I guess. It's such a big field, it's really difficult to keep good position. This is pretty far back. We've got still have a pretty big mix of levels of rider in this front group. You know, guys that were managing to stay tucked in and hanging on, but at any minute would end up dropping and creating a gap in front of you. So, you know, a lot of accordion effect being back that far, even though we're staying in a group, you know, it just strings out so much. You know, at times you're looking at 4 seconds just to get back up to the front of the group. But everyone did a really pretty good job out there. I didn't see any accidents, any close calls even, really. One of the only close calls I saw out there was actually involved me, was I moved out to try to accelerate out of the group at one point, and I had a rider to my left side, but he touched wheels with the rider next to him, and everything was fine. He handled it like a pro. We didn't actually bump, but when he saw me coming out, he moved out, and somebody was very close to his wheel. Yeah, trying to move up a little bit here, because it was as it gets strung out, it's just too far back to be that many wheels back. I mean, even here, I'm still probably 25th wheel, somewhere in there. $155, $156 heart rate, still climbing. That's pretty high for me. You can hear me puffing and puffing in the background. This is probably where I was really starting to question whether I was going to be able to hang on in this race, but luckily it did calm down a little bit at some point. Preferable line through here is be more to the right side than the left side where I am, but honestly, depending on the lap and just depending on the riders immediately around you, you know, it's hard to say where you really want to position yourself. There's some potholes and manholes and stuff on that descent down into that corner. There was at least one bottle went flying off through that section. Got a little shower as it buzzed by me. Again, you know, 40-minute race, not a particularly hot day. I didn't bother to put bottle cages on my bike. Honestly, on this short of course, you know, I just find it difficult to find a convenient time to reach down and take a drink, and it's really just not necessary. Like I said, it's not that hot. And even if you're fueling with your bottles, like 40 minutes is barely going to be enough time for you to top off any energy.